Good morning. Welcome to week 2, day 12. We are working on balance. So today I want you to make sure that you're wearing barefoot or socks. Just when you have connection to the ground, we're better able to shift over onto the one side and lift up and be able to balance ourselves on the one foot. So I want you to think of a tripod, like a triangle. So like that. So if it's upside down triangle, like this. So big toe, little toe, heel. Okay. So tripod, big toe, little toe, heel, right? So when you connect to the ground, I want you to feel like you're kind of grabbing into the ground to connect into it, so that when you just step, especially if you have collapsed arches, high arches, if your knees naturally bow in a little bit, that means your arches are collapsing in. But if they bow out, then they tend to have your arches tend to be higher. So what I want you to think about is connecting the 3 points into the ground before we start the movement. And everything, remember, we're going to breathe. So remembering to pull up your pelvic floor and to expand the rib cage through that breath. And also one other point, so we're going to be focusing on core bracing as well. So remember when I said to feel like you're being gut punched? So with that, I want you to just tighten up everything as well, okay? So we have 2 rounds. The first round is you're doing it with your eyes open, okay? The second round, you're doing with your eyes closed. So why that's happening is because when we're eyes open, we're visually seeing the movement, right? But as soon as we close our eyes, we're thinking about our brain connected to our limbs, right? So when we think about when we close our eyes, touching our nose, some people don't get there, right? So same concept when we're doing single leg balance is the moment you close your eyes, whoa, we're all over the place. So when we connect to the movement and know what it feels like, then we're better prepared to proprioception. So knowing where your limbs are without looking. You don't have to have eyes closed, but without looking. So you know where it is. So when a baseball player is running to catch the ball, if he's not looking here, he's looking at the trajectory of the ball to gauge where it's going to land in his glove, and then last second making sure he's connecting and looking, right? So that's the same concept. We want to be able to predict and to know without actually seeing it. So that's what's really important about balance, is the proprioception of it. So round 1, where we have 7 exercises. Okay, so you're doing one set on one side and the other set on the other side. Okay, so single leg balance, you're going to plant your foot. Remember, start on the weaker side. Okay, plant the foot. And as you do it, remember to grab the ground. Okay, shift your weight over, pull up that pelvic floor. Remember the breath, core engaged. So when we move, we hinge with our upper body and we're not collapsing, okay? So when our core is engaged, everything tightens up. So that means all through here, okay? So plant that foot, shift over to the one side, your weaker side, always start on your weaker side. And then we're going to lift the foot off the ground, just slightly. Balance. So you're gonna do 30 seconds. Tighten up that pelvic floor Make sure if you're wobbling a lot, just reshift those hips. So sometimes we'll see this. Okay, make sure that your hips are level, feet are planted, okay, core is engaged, standing upright, 30 seconds, and then switch side. Again, plant your feet into the ground, shift your weight over to the one leg, body upright, core engaged, focus on that breath and lift. Okay, so 30 seconds, say. So second one, now we're shifting back to this side. Remember, toes planted, shift over, core engaged, lift up, and now you're gonna do a little reach forward with the toes, okay? Reach sideways, pull in. If you need to reset, that's fine, okay? Come over, up, and back. So what I'm trying to get you to do is balance in different planes of motion. So different planes of motion. So different parts of our body. So when we're doing exercises, we see this a lot, right? We do lateral movements, we do forward movements, we do reverse movements. So if we're able to balance, then those lunges, right? Forward lunges will be a little bit easier to execute when you're able to focus on that single leg balance to initiate that movement, okay? So that's really important. So nice and slow. So hands on your hips, just so you can see, make sure that you're not hipping or dipping. Okay, one moment. All right. So when you're doing it, you don't want to be shifting side to side, right? So plant, engage, and then initiate the movement, okay? Sorry, we're gonna keep stopping and going. I have someone working in the house for our bathroom. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, so the next one we have is a standing single leg forward, side, and back reaches, except for this time we're not just tapping. We're gonna raise our legs. So plant the foot, shift over, so you're shifting over the weight on the one leg. Up body upright, and as you reach, you're just going to lift. Okay, now sideways, step and raise. Okay, and back and raise. So notice our body, our hips are not breaking, we're just raising to the point that we can, okay, without anything shifting or moving. Means you have a little bit of movement, that's okay, but not a whole lot of movement. Okay, and then other side. Plant first. So plant, core engage, upright, reach, and up. See how I kind of shifted over? So I want to remember hips just to the point before I'm going like this, okay? All right, fourth one is single leg hip hinge with a kickstand. So the kickstand, so remember we did this one the other day. So step back, kickstand, and we're going just a hip hinge. Don't have to go forward, just keep that back straight and up. So 30 seconds per side and switch. Inhale, exhale. Remember, the front knee is a little bit soft but not locked out, okay? Okay. Now the fifth exercise, now we're going to do it with a bent leg. So kickstand, plant your foot, hips shift over, core engage, body upright. So your leg and your upper body moves as a unit. So your hips aren't breaking, okay? So we're gonna stay straight. Your leg is gonna bend and we're gonna just tilt forward and back. Okay. It's not a big movement, and also notice my leg. So if you initiate here and then try to bring up the leg, it's not going to work the same, okay? You want to make sure that everything moves at the same time, that one isn't moving first or moving first, okay? They move at the same time, your upper body and your lower body, okay? And then switch sides. And then the next one, no, I'm just going to switch to the other side. So we had it bent leg. Now we're going straight leg. Okay. So also remember, as we straighten the leg, try to keep your hips level, that they're not shifting like this. Okay. So you'll see it here. Okay. So body upright, plant the foot, hips shift over to the one leg. Take a breath in, straighten that leg, and move as a unit. So only go as far as you can, but when you start wobbling a ton, just regress it a little bit. So don't go as far. So I'm just gonna move forward so I can keep. So see, oh, then you'll fall. So if you're trying to push past a point that you can't, you're not going to be able to hold that balance. So you want to make sure that you're only working in the range that you can with that balance. So always start on your weaker side, and remember, keep that core in nice and tight. You'll have a little bit of wobble with the ankle. That's okay. That's just stabilizing. That's just your body teaching itself to stabilize. So it's trying to figure that out. But if a whole lot of wobble, we don't want that, because that can lead to injury, okay? So a little bit of wobble is okay, just to get that balance, okay? And then the last one, we have a back lunge with knee up. So again, shift over, make sure your foot is planted into the ground, core is engaged, and your body is upright. Step back into a back lunge, and as you pull through, you're coming up, okay? Back lunge and pull up. So you can break this down into a sequence. So just to get the hang of it, and then when you start feeling more comfortable, then you can pull it all together. So sequence is kickstand, back lunge, come back tall, shift over and up. The reason why it's better that it's a fluid motion is because you're gonna have to keep resetting your hips. So when you kickstand, back lunge, come back. You can even just keep the toe here, but if you reset, remember to reset over this leg, toe up, and go. Okay? So if it's super wobbly, just take it slow. Okay? So round one, eyes open. Round two, eyes closed. So what would that look like? Let's do, I'll just show you single leg with a bent leg. Okay, plant the foot, hip shift over. Set yourself up, close the eyes, and then move. You won't go as far because that range isn't as strong. Okay. And you notice if you look at my foot, I was like, oh. So all of this is stuff I still need to work on too. But yeah, get through those 7 exercises, 2 to 3 rounds. So eyes open for the first one, eyes closed for the second one, and you could choose eyes open or closed for the third round. Everything's for 30 seconds per leg. Okay, so that's 30 seconds, 30 seconds. And yeah, tomorrow we have stretching. So the stretching video, just gonna go through a full body stretch, so different ways to stretch the body. And then on Sunday, we're doing meal prepping, meal planning, meal ideas. So I think I'm gonna do a video, possibly. I'm trying to figure out how I wanna format this, because I might do like a meal prep idea. So getting some meal prepping solutions. So if meal planning is hard, or finding that you're not making the healthiest choices, when we have our food set out and ready for us, we have a tendency for going to the thing that's the easiest and most accessible. So if your meals are easy and accessible, then you won't go for that bag of chips because your lunch is ready, right? You don't have to sit there and cook it every single day. You'll spend one day, probably 2 days out of the week, you could meal prep your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's crazy, but you can. Just prep for the first couple of days, and then say on Sunday you do a meal prep, and then on a Wednesday you do a meal prep, and you prep it for those days for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then you have your snacks in between, like the fruits and vegetables and stuff. But we'll get into that on Sunday. Okay, so if you have any questions about food, remember, I'm not a dietitian. I can give suggestions, but that's the capacity at which I'm allowed to give. Okay, so keep that in mind. I can refer you to a nutritionist if you have like gluten allergies and so forth. I cannot give you those kinds of meal plans. I can help you with meal ideas, suggestions, but that's as far as I can go. Okay. So if you have any questions about the balance exercise or any of the other videos that we did this week, just shoot me a message, and I'll try to help you as the best that I can. All right, enjoy your day. Bye, guys.